The fluorescent lights in the Target store flickered ominously as I pushed my shopping cart through the deserted electronics section at 10:45 on a Tuesday night, creating an eerie strobe effect that made the empty aisles feel more like a horror movie set than a familiar retail environment where I had shopped hundreds of times before. I was making a quick late-night run to pick up some essentials before the store closed at 11, taking advantage of the quiet evening hours when the crowds had thinned out and I could shop efficiently without the usual chaos of peak retail hours. But tonight was different. Tonight, the store felt wrong in ways that I couldn't quite articulate. The usual background noise of shopping carts and customer conversations had been replaced by an oppressive silence that was broken only by the mechanical hum of refrigeration units and the distant sound of something being dragged across the floor in an area of the store where no employees should have been working. As I turned the corner into the home goods section, I noticed that several other late-night shoppers were moving through the store with the same nervous energy that I was feeling, glancing over their shoulders and staying close to the main aisles as if they too sensed that something was fundamentally wrong with the atmosphere in the normally welcoming retail space. The red and white Target logo that usually symbolized convenience and reliability now seemed to loom over us like a warning sign. My name is Rachel, and that night taught me that Target isn't just America's favorite discount retailer. It's a stage where predators use the anonymity and accessibility of retail shopping to identify and attack vulnerable victims who trust that their routine shopping activities will remain safe and predictable experiences. Ever wondered why some people suddenly stop shopping at certain Target locations? Ever questioned why certain customers seem paranoid about being followed through retail aisles? Share this video if you have felt uncomfortable while shopping alone in large stores and sensed that someone was watching you with intentions that had nothing to do with retail shopping. Because tonight I'm sharing 3 true accounts that will make you question every late-night Target run you've ever made. These aren't exaggerated stories or urban legends designed to make people afraid of retail stores. These are real experiences from real customers who learned that when you shop at large retail establishments during off-peak hours, you can encounter situations and people that transform familiar commercial spaces into environments where your safety and security are threatened. Jennifer Martinez was a 31-year-old marketing coordinator who frequently shopped at the Target store near her apartment in Phoenix, using the convenient location and extended hours to handle her household shopping needs around her demanding work schedule that often kept her at the office until late evening hours. Jennifer had been a regular customer at this particular Target location for over 3 years and was familiar with the store's layout, staff, and the general patterns of customer traffic. Jennifer's shopping routine typically involved quick trips during evening hours when she could avoid the crowds and long checkout lines that made daytime shopping stressful and time-consuming. She had developed efficient shopping strategies that allowed her to complete her errands quickly and return home to prepare for the next day's work responsibilities, and she had never experienced any safety concerns during her hundreds of visits. On the evening of October 15, 2022, Jennifer arrived at Target around 8:30 p.m. to pick up groceries and household items for the week ahead. Parking in her usual area near the store entrance where the lighting was good and the foot traffic provided natural security through the presence of other customers and employees. Jennifer's shopping list was routine and straightforward, and she expected to complete her purchases within 30 to 40 minutes. Jennifer's shopping experience inside the store proceeded normally, with no unusual incidents or encounters that would suggest any problems with other customers, employees, or store operations. Jennifer completed her shopping efficiently and proceeded to the checkout area, where she paid for her purchases and prepared to return to her car in the parking lot. But as Jennifer exited the store and walked toward her car in the parking lot, she began to notice that she was being followed by a man who had apparently been waiting for her to complete her shopping and leave the store. The man was maintaining a distance that allowed him to observe Jennifer's movements without making his surveillance obvious, but his behavior suggested deliberate tracking rather than coincidental movement. Jennifer's concern about the following individual escalated when she realized that the man was not heading toward any particular vehicle in the parking lot, but was instead focusing entirely on her movements and positioning himself to intercept her route to her car. The man's behavior suggested that he had been conducting surveillance of Jennifer's shopping activities. Comment below if you've ever noticed someone following you through a Target parking lot, because what Jennifer discovered about this predator's tactics proved that some criminals use retail parking lots as hunting grounds where they can study shoppers' routines and identify vulnerable victims who are distracted while loading purchases into their vehicles. Jennifer's attempts to vary her route to her car and to test whether the man was actually following her confirmed that she was being deliberately pursued by someone whose intentions were unknown but potentially threatening. The man would adjust his course to match Jennifer's movements and would maintain visual contact even when Jennifer changed direction or stopped to check her phone. The situation became more alarming when Jennifer reached her car and discovered that the man was approaching her more directly, moving from passive surveillance to active pursuit that suggested he was preparing to make contact or to attack her while she was vulnerable in the parking lot. The man's approach was coordinated and purposeful, indicating experience with targeting women in parking lot environments. Jennifer realized that she was dealing with a predator who had been using the Target parking lot as a hunting ground to identify and attack vulnerable shoppers who were isolated and distracted while loading purchases into their vehicles. The man's surveillance of her shopping activities and his strategic positioning suggested that he had been planning his attack. Jennifer's escape from the dangerous situation required her to abandon her normal routine of loading her purchases into her car and instead to return quickly to the store entrance where she could seek help from employees and security personnel. Jennifer's quick thinking and decision to prioritize her safety over convenience prevented what could have been a serious assault or robbery. Jennifer immediately reported the incident to Target security and local law enforcement, providing detailed descriptions of the man who had been following her and the tactics he had used to conduct surveillance and pursuit in the parking lot. The investigation revealed that Jennifer's attacker had been targeting female shoppers at multiple Target locations throughout the Phoenix metropolitan area. The predator was eventually identified and arrested through security camera footage and witness testimony from Jennifer and other victims who had experienced similar encounters at Target parking lots throughout the area. The investigation revealed that the man had been responsible for multiple robberies and assaults of female shoppers who had been targeted based on their apparent vulnerability. Jennifer's experience taught her that retail parking lots could be dangerous environments where predators conducted surveillance and planned attacks against shoppers who were focused on their purchases and unaware of the threats surrounding them. Amanda Chen was a 26-year-old software developer who regularly shopped at a Target store in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood, using the convenient location and comprehensive product selection to handle her grocery shopping and household needs during her lunch breaks and after work hours. Amanda had been shopping at this particular Target location for over 2 years and had developed a routine that allowed her to efficiently complete her shopping while maintaining her busy work schedule. Amanda's shopping patterns were fairly predictable, with regular visits during specific times of day and week that corresponded to her work schedule and personal routines. She typically shopped during lunch hours on weekdays and occasionally during evening hours when she needed to pick up items for weekend activities. During her regular shopping visits, Amanda had noticed that one of the Target employees, a man in his 30s who worked in the electronics department, seemed to pay unusual attention to her shopping activities and would often position himself in areas where he could observe her movements through the store. Initially, Amanda assumed that the employee was simply being helpful or was coincidentally working in areas where she happened to be shopping. The employee's attention to Amanda's shopping activities escalated when he began to approach her directly during her visits, engaging her in conversations that went beyond normal customer service interactions and included personal questions about her work, her living situation, and her social activities. The employee's questions were inappropriate for a professional retail interaction, Amanda's attempts to minimize her interactions with the problematic employee were unsuccessful, as he seemed to anticipate her shopping schedule and would position himself in areas where she would encounter him, regardless of which sections of the store she visited or what time of day she chose to shop. Subscribe and turn on notifications if you've ever had a Target employee show inappropriate interest in your personal life, because what Amanda discovered about this employee is access to customer information proved that some retail workers exploit their positions to conduct sophisticated stalking operations that extend far beyond the store environment. The situation became more disturbing when Amanda discovered that the employee had been accessing her Target account information and purchase history to gather additional intelligence about her shopping preferences, financial information, and personal details that were stored in the retailer's customer database. The employee's unauthorized access to Amanda's personal information represented a serious violation of privacy. Amanda's concern about the employee's behavior escalated when she began to encounter him outside of the Target store, in locations near her apartment building and workplace that suggested he was using the information gathered from her shopping activities to conduct surveillance of her personal life. The employee's presence in areas where he had no legitimate reason to be indicated criminal stalking activities. The situation reached a crisis point when the employee began to leave gifts and notes for Amanda at her apartment building and workplace, using information gathered from her Target account and shopping surveillance to locate her personal addresses and contact information. The gifts and notes contained personal details about Amanda's life that the employee could only have obtained through unauthorized access. Amanda realized that the Target employee was using his position at the retail store to conduct a sophisticated stalking operation that exploited his access to customer information and his ability to observe shopping patterns to gather intelligence about potential victims. The employee's escalation from workplace harassment to criminal stalking represented a serious threat. Amanda's attempts to report the employee's behavior to Target management were initially met with skepticism and inadequate response, with store officials suggesting that Amanda might be misinterpreting friendly customer service or coincidental encounters. But Amanda's documentation of the employee's unauthorized access to her account information provided evidence that convinced management to investigate. The investigation revealed that the problematic employee had been using his position at Target to stalk multiple female customers, accessing their personal information, and using his knowledge of their shopping patterns to conduct surveillance and harassment activities that extended far beyond the retail environment. Target's investigation led to the employee's immediate termination and cooperation with law enforcement agencies that were investigating his stalking activities and unauthorized access to customer information. The investigation also revealed that the employee had been involved in similar stalking incidents at previous retail employment positions. Amanda's experience taught her that retail employees could exploit their access to customer information and their positions of trust to conduct stalking and harassment activities that put shoppers at risk of privacy violations and personal safety threats. Robert Williams was a 42-year-old accountant who frequently shopped at a Target store in Dallas during late evening hours, taking advantage of the reduced crowds and the peaceful shopping environment that allowed him to complete his household errands efficiently after long days at his accounting firm. Robert's late-night shopping routine had developed over several years of working demanding hours. Robert typically arrived at Target around 9:30 p.m., giving himself enough time to complete his shopping before the store's 10 p.m. closing time. And he had developed efficient shopping strategies that allowed him to quickly locate the items he needed and complete his purchases without interfering with the store's closing procedures. On the evening of March 8, 2023, Robert arrived at Target for his usual late-night shopping trip, but he immediately noticed that the store's atmosphere was different from his normal shopping experiences. The lighting seemed dimmer than usual. Several sections of the store appeared to be understaffed or completely empty of employees, and the normal sounds of retail activity had been replaced by an unsettling quiet. Robert's concern about the store's unusual atmosphere escalated when he realized that there were very few other customers in the store, and the employees who were present seemed to be avoiding the main shopping areas and were conducting activities in back rooms and storage areas that were not normally accessible to customers. As Robert moved through the store trying to complete his shopping, he began to encounter other customers whose behavior was suspicious and potentially threatening. These individuals were not engaged in normal shopping activities, but instead seemed to be conducting surveillance of the store's layout, security systems, and the movements of legitimate customers and employees. Hit that like button if you've ever been in a Target during closing hours and realized that some of the customers weren't there to shop. Because what Robert discovered about this criminal operation proved that some organized groups use retail stores as bases for illegal activities that take advantage of reduced security and limited staff presence during late-night hours. Robert's investigation of the suspicious activities revealed that the store was being used as a meeting place or staging area for criminal activities that took advantage of the reduced security and limited staff presence during closing hours. The suspicious individuals appeared to be coordinating activities that involved theft, vandalism, or other illegal enterprises. The situation became more dangerous when Robert realized that the criminal activities were not limited to opportunistic theft, but involved organized criminal operations that were using the Target store as a base for more serious illegal activities. Robert observed evidence of drug dealing, weapons transactions, and other criminal enterprises. Robert's attempts to leave the store and avoid involvement in the criminal activities were complicated by the fact that the criminals had positioned themselves to control access to the store's exits and were monitoring the movements of legitimate customers who might witness or report their illegal operations. The situation escalated when Robert was confronted directly by members of the criminal group, who made it clear that his knowledge of their activities was unwelcome and that his safety would be threatened if he attempted to leave the store or contact law enforcement. The criminals' threats were credible and immediate. Robert's escape from the dangerous situation required him to use his knowledge of the store's layout and his understanding of retail security systems to avoid the criminals who were monitoring his movements, and to reach a location where he could contact law enforcement for assistance. Robert ultimately managed to contact law enforcement by using an emergency phone in the store's pharmacy area, and his report led to an immediate police response that resulted in the arrest of multiple criminals who had been using the Target store as a base for their illegal operations. The investigation revealed that the criminal group had been infiltrating multiple retail locations throughout the Dallas area using late-night hours and reduced security to conduct illegal activities that generated significant revenue while avoiding detection by law enforcement. Robert's experience taught him that late-night retail shopping could expose customers to organized criminal activities that used retail stores as bases for illegal operations, and that shoppers needed to be aware of the potential risks of shopping during hours when security was reduced. These three accounts from Target shoppers across America reveal a disturbing truth about retail shopping. America's favorite discount retailer can become a stage for encounters that challenge everything we think we know about the safety and predictability of modern shopping environments. Jennifer's encounter with a parking lot predator in Phoenix proved that some criminals use retail parking lots as hunting grounds where they can study shoppers' routines and identify vulnerable victims who are distracted while loading purchases into their vehicles. Amanda's experience with an employee stalker in Seattle demonstrated that some retail workers exploit their positions and access to customer information to conduct sophisticated stalking operations that extend far beyond the store environment. Robert's discovery of criminal operations during closing hours in Dallas revealed that some organized groups use retail stores as bases for illegal activities that take advantage of reduced security and limited staff presence during late-night hours. The most chilling aspect of these accounts isn't just the individual dangers themselves, it's the realization that these threats exploit the trust and routine nature of retail shopping, turning familiar commercial spaces into environments where predators can identify and attack victims who assume that their shopping activities are safe and predictable. Jennifer had no warning that her routine evening shopping would attract the attention of a predator who had been using the Target parking lot as a hunting ground for vulnerable female shoppers. Amanda had no indication that her regular shopping patterns would expose her to an employee who would exploit his access to customer information to conduct criminal stalking activities. Robert had no clue that his late-night shopping routine would expose him to organized criminal operations that were using the Target store as a base for illegal activities during closing hours when security was reduced. If you're currently shopping at Target or other large retail stores, especially during off-peak hours or in unfamiliar locations, if you've noticed suspicious behavior from other customers or employees, or if you felt uncomfortable while shopping alone in large stores, trust your instincts and remember that maintaining situational awareness could be the difference between a routine shopping trip and a dangerous encounter. Ring that notification bell if these stories have made you more conscious of retail safety. And remember that understanding these risks and warning signs could help you avoid becoming a victim of predators who use the accessibility and anonymity of retail environments to identify and attack shoppers. The next time you're shopping at Target, especially during evening hours or in unfamiliar locations, remember these stories and maintain awareness of your surroundings, other customers and employees whose behavior seems inappropriate or threatening. Sometimes the most dangerous part of retail shopping isn't the crowds or the long checkout lines. It's the moment when you realize that someone has been watching you, studying your patterns, and planning to use your routine shopping activities as an opportunity to harm you. Before you go, check out the playlist in the description for more true retail horror stories that could save your life. Because in the end, the most important thing you can buy at any store is your safety, and no convenience or savings is worth risking your security in situations where predators use retail environments to identify and attack victims. Comment below if these stories have changed how you think about retail shopping safety, and remember that the best shopping experience is one that gets you home safely with your purchases and your peace of mind intact. Even if it means staying alert, trusting your instincts, and prioritizing your safety over convenience or routine shopping habits. Stay safe out there, and remember that retail stores should be places of convenience and community, not hunting grounds for predators who exploit the trust and accessibility that make modern shopping possible.